I'm using a Samsung Chromebook. This is purchased in 2020. The reason I have to buy these Chromebooks is they wear out, especially where the power supply connects and also where the other devices connect onto the computer. They wear out from just pushing things in and pulling things out. That's my pet peeve on computers. Computers, you should buy a computer and it should last you a really long time. The hardware should not become obsolete within a short amount of time. They should make hardware to last for a long, long time, but just have the software part of it being subscription based. So, but I like this because it's very convenient for me to do. I don't have to plug anything in and unplug something and go to a menu and fiddle and pull files out and drop files in a folder or onto this download here. I guess I could pre-record it on here. Then that way I wouldn't be so concerned about, well, someone might see dirt on my wall or a spider web up there, or they might see that the shadow over there is crooked. The lighting is bad, or I got a pimple, or I got a aging spot on my skin on my head, or I didn't shave, or I got a pimple over here, or my shirt's not buttoned right properly, Maybe I don't have the right lighting, and and maybe there's not enough lights, or the image is blurry, and it's really like choppy, like it was done low resolution. So there's limitations to this, but the reason I like to do this is because it's real easy to do. All I do is I go through the menus on here, and then I select go live, and it's going live, and I don't have to go back and take the file and drag and drop, copy paste the file into a new location and spend my time doing that. The beauty about what I like about this application on this Chromebook, and I'll tell you the version of Chrome I have. I have version 93045775 official build, 64-bit is what I'm using right now. It's copyright 2021 Google LLC, all rights reserved, the software. So in terms of service, I'm reading that right now. So I understand you're using a service here, and it takes money to make the machines work, properly. The servers have to be maintained. Has to be regular file maintenance, like backup, and the equipment wears out. So it's probably in these server farms. That's where this image is being stored, this record, on a server farm, on a piece of electronic equipment, solid state electronics equipment. So you're paying, someone's having to pay for that. It had to be paid for. Investors had to pay to get it all set up, to purchase the equipment, technicians install it properly. And then there has to be someone that's maintaining this equipment, people that have to keep the electricity running properly, and making sure the units are kept cool and they don't get hot. Because when a server farm gets really hot, then there is damage to the electronics. So electronics running at really high temperatures in unventilated places can wear out really fast. So I understand they need to have air conditioning systems running to keep the servers cool. And also it's a question of investment. Do the investors want their investment to be used for people that are like mining Bitcoin? Would it be more profitable for a company to use its resources for like crypto mining instead of like hosting videos of random people in the world that want to just make a video and they put it out and publish it? And it's using that resource. It's using all the electricity. It's using bunch of technicians' time up to maintain it. It's using investors invest money in the beginning to set everything up, right? So they put money down on the table, and they expect a return on their investment. So if the services are being used in a wasteful manner and people aren't using it for something that's really important, to document something that's important or vital or critical or necessary, then it's inefficient because you're just using this resource, and it's if like, let's just say I let the camera run and I just walked away from my computer and let it run and record just indefinitely until my internet was shut off, the power went off on my house, or something happened, and then that would be just a waste of resource. There'd just be all this time and space being used on a solid state drive to just record this background with nobody here and nobody saying anything. So that would be a waste of a resource. And I didn't vote to become a human animal. There was no pre-life that I had that I raised my hand and I said, yes, I'll volunteer to go to this planet and be a human being. Or I didn't sign a contract in a pre-existent as a pre-existent person that was before I was a human being. I was something else, and I signed a contract that said I would go to this planet and be a human animal and live on this planet at this year at this time and such as such. It was never. I never agreed upon becoming alive. As far as I remember back, the furthest I can remember is like bedwetting, sucking on my thumb, crawling on the ground a lot because I broke my leg and then I had to crawl around. So I remember crawling around on the floor a lot when I was younger. And that's the furthest memory I'd have. I don't have memories of being a fetus in a fetal position, all curled up inside of my mother's placenta. I can't remember that far back. I don't remember like sucking on my mother's breasts and laying up against her body as a child, this really, really, really young child. As far back as my memories can go, I don't really remember back that far of my early childhood. It's very vague to me. So when such and such a question comes up, well, your life process is going to end. Your body is going to give up, and it's going to just fail, and you're going to decay and decompose, and you will be no more. And it is never been born at all, as far as the world's concerned. And then you leave all your stuff, all your things that you owned, all your papers, all your books, all your collections of whatever you had just gets left behind. And there's a family member, a friend, or a neighbor has to deal with it. And then you got your cremains, right? If you get cremated, you're going to have your ashes, or someone will have your ashes. So it's probably good to set up a trust and then have all your property has to have a designated beneficiary that would be your that would help you with your estate when you passed away. So I've been thinking I've thought a lot about that lately. That like, let's say you have some land and it has all these trees on it, and when you pass away, you don't want all those trees to be completely logged off and to be clear cut after you die. So you want to have someone, a designated trust, right, for hanging on your property, so that you don't want in the future to your property get destroyed like that. You don't want your forest to get cut down. You're concerned about that after you pass away. So someone told me that if you endow your property to the Arbor Day Foundation, that they'll use that for reforestation. Even if your property does get logged and somebody sells it, or they have to sell it for whatever reason, then at least the sale is going towards, some organization that's planting trees, that's growing reforestation, in the process of doing reforestation projects. If your estate gets transferred over to an organization that's doing something like that, something you really believe in, then when you pass away and you leave this planet, you leave the earth, then at least you'll know in your mind while you're dying that you tried to do something with your life to benefit society, to benefit the future people of in civilization into the future. So while you were alive, you used your resources for like investing mostly in education, agriculture, infrastructure projects. And let's just say you were somebody that was really frugal, right? You were really conscientious of how you spent your money and how you used your money. It was important for you that your money wasn't causing harm indirectly in the world while you were spending your money. So having an ethical perspective on capital as a resource, as a form of energy, let's say it's equated to a form of capital is equated to a form of energy, and you're going to use that energy to pursue an end, a goal. What's your goal you're trying to achieve? A lot of people would say, I want a really, really expensive sports car. I want a house in a part of the city where it will show off, when everybody around me will see I have a really expensive house. I want to dress in the most expensive clothes. I want to wear like really heavy gold necklaces, and I want to be able to like travel all over whenever I want to. I want to just get on planes and travel and fly all over and stay at the most expensive hotels and have all these people like me and want to be like me and say and call me all great. So I'm such a great person, and they like adore me, and I'm really like popular. And I think it's like everybody wants that. And to me, it's like, well, why can't you just have like a little shack and live in the woods and have your pets and be like really, really, really frugal and cheap and hardly ever spend any money at all, and use all your savings for like investing in like companies that make vegan meats or plant-based meats. So and then you spend all your money on companies that make like photovoltaics and solar electric power systems, and you're spending all your money on companies that do wastewater treatment and build road construction, and then have companies that are like electric power companies that people have to pay a utility bill to. So you're investing in that and you're getting a dividend off that. Or it might even be a telecommunications company. Those can pay good dividends too. But as far as like showing off and wanting people that don't know me to like me because of how I look, if I dress in really expensive clothes and I drive a really expensive car and I stay at really nice, posh hotels, and I travel, I'm at airports a lot, I'm traveling all the time, then like maybe that will like get people to like, if that's what people want, they want that lifestyle. They want to be like popular. They want to go to all the places that everybody's like, they don't want to miss out. So they have this really, really, really strong fear of missing out. Like there's this big grand party going on somewhere and they're missing it. They're not there to enjoy it. So, and there's a really good band playing, and they're serving really good food, and the weather's really nice, and there's a nice swimming pool, and there's an ocean, and everybody there is like all happy, right? They're all having a really good time. And everybody wants that. They all want to try to get there. It's like they feel like they're missing out on that big party, and they want to belong to that. They want to be involved with that. They want to be there, enjoy that. And also it's having people that don't know you have respect for you. So you want to be in public and you want people to like acknowledge you and hold you in high esteem and hang on every word you say and regard everything you do. Like you're leading the world, right? You're a world leader. So but to me, it's more like, well, I'm going to be dead and gone. And what's the planet going to be like for future people, and animals too, So you think about how you're living. If you're living like a lifestyle where you're using a lot of resources, where you're consuming a lot of energy, and how you live, because it takes all this energy. It takes all this human effort, right, of people like that are working at the hotel, that are flying the plane, that are the stewardesses, that are working at the airport handling luggage. They're like, and there's all this fuel being used. So they're running all these refineries to create petrol fuels so that these planes can fly, all these taxis can drive around, so they can, and there's whole areas of land being logged so they can build these big hotels out of all this wood. Because it takes a lot of forest area to build a 6-bedroom, 5-bath, 4,000 square foot ranch style 2-story home, right? It's made out of all that wood. So they got to go and they log all this wood to make these huge houses, so that one guy can be with his mistress, and his other girlfriends can hang out there. His groupies can hang out by a swimming pool, and he can like buy really expensive bottles of champagne, and he can like buy all his girlfriends and his mistress. He can buy them like really expensive jewelry and diamonds, and he can like take them anywhere and travel with them on his plane. And he leases a jet, right? He hires a pilot to fly him places, and everybody's like wanting to be like that. Why is that? Is that now? If I was really poor and I didn't have hardly any money at all, but I lived on a really nice tropical island, right, where they grow bananas and coconuts, and people are like real casual, and there's like a nice lagoon to go swimming in. There's swimming pools. There's nice hotels around. Yeah, that would be nice to be able to take a nice vacation for a while. But it's like, well, if I smoke some cannabis and I just sit around my house, I'm not spending hardly any money. And it's entertaining for me. I can just get on like YouTube and watch like travel videos, and I can look on my TV screen and I can see like beaches, and like tropical lagoons, and have the fan turned on, blow it on me. I can just imagine that I'm sitting in a nice breeze in a watching a sunset, So I got kind of used to that when my wife was disabled, so I had to be home all the time and I had to take care of her. So I got used to being alone, used to being at home. Now it's like, well, I found somebody else. Somebody else is come into my life, and they're like, I'm sharing my time with them, so I'm not so much alone as I used to be. There's risks involved. I'm looking at all these risks, right? And the thing is that if you invest all this time in people and then they die, they pass away, it kind of sucks, because life is like, now that you're older and you've been working, and you finally have your own time, free time to do what you want to, and not have to answer to a boss, not have to clock in and go someplace you don't really necessarily want to be at every day, and go through a routine just to make a living, support yourself. When you finally figured out, well, I can just store away my value, my time, I can store it as a resource and use that in the future. So you're no longer dependent upon and relying upon a source of income that's from having to show up and perform a task every day at the same place at the same time. Repeat it again and again and again. Now you're free to just be at home. You can sleep in. If you want to, you can read books. you can spend your time doing hobbies and pursuing something that you thought you wanted to do while you were always working all the time. And yeah, I have projects that I've started and I have not finished them. I have a Harbor Freight workbench that I never finished building. And I have a solar electric system that I need to put together. And I've been weighing on the idea of buying either a lithium battery bank or a lithium series of lithium batteries that I can recharge. There's a lot of them out there. The problem is electronics wear out. Things wear out and they break on electronics. So if you buy something and it's really expensive, like a portable generator that's a lithium ion, instead of gasoline, it uses lithium ion, one of these generators. And there's a lot of them out there in the market, and it's kind of confusing for me because what I want to do is I want to find one that if I'm going to pay money for it, I want it to last a long time. I don't want to spend a lot of money on electronics and then they fail within like 5 years, right? It fails for whatever reason. The plug fails, or a circuit blows, or a component burns out. And I'm not capable enough of repairing that myself. So right now, at least, I'm not educated enough. So I haven't really studied the market. I haven't really been keeping up with doing my homework and learning about all the different products that are available, that are on the market. That's something, if I spend the money on it, it won't break within like 5 years. It'll still work. And the other thing is that as far as the absorbed glass mat chemical battery, that's lead acid, so it's absorbed glass mat, and it doesn't have it's not vented, so you can use it indoors. That was the thing about AGM batteries, is you can have them inside and not have to vent the batteries from degassing. They will hold the gas in the container when the battery is being used. So the ones I have right now are they're 35 amp hours, and they're pretty dead batteries. I mean, I can run like maybe a few lights for a little while on it, and then it just the alarm goes off and it goes to 11.5 volts. Like within, like if I started it right now, I could have like a 75 watt light bulb on for about an hour, and then maybe less than an hour, and then the alarm would go off on the inverter and I have to shut it off. So those batteries are over 10 years old, and I have them in a parallel string. So what I need to do is I need to replace that, but I need to do my research and find a good lithium ion power generator with an inverter built in. So it's an inverter, charge regulator, and it has the sockets for input and output for electrical. It's all self-contained. You don't have a box here with wires going to here and another box here with wires going to here. It's all one cube that all integrated with all that in it. And my solar power electric system was built in sections. So I have an inverter box, I have a battery box, I have wiring going to the fuses and the gauges. So it's not all built into a unit, integrated unit. Now today you can buy all that; it's all integrated. That's what I'm saying. If you look around, you'll see these generators, lithium-ion generators, and they function the same as a small gasoline generator would. That the advantage is of they don't smell and they don't burn anything. They're not burning anything in the air, and they're quiet. I mean, well, just those two things alone should like make people switch from gasoline generators to a lithium ion generator. And you go out there and look it up and do your research, and you'll figure out what I'm talking about. If you look up lithium ion portable generators, look up backup generators or generators, just lithium, even the even somebody that, even if you live in a place and you don't have solar, and you could just keep the thing plugged into the wall all the time and have it on standby mode, and don't turn it on, but just have it charging all the time off your plug, power off your wall, your service, your electrical service line. That power you can store in one of these, and you can keep it inside your house, and it's completely safe. And then when the power does go out, you can just turn it on, and it'll last for like a couple days. You can run small appliances, and you don't smell burning fumes. You don't burn any gasoline, and it's not noisy. It doesn't make any loud like sounds like a generator running would. But my issue is how long, when you buy one of those and it only lasts you a couple years because things break on it. See, if I'm going to spend that much money, invest my money in something, it should last at least 10 years, all right? Just give it 10 years of usable life on a piece of equipment you put your hard-earned money into. You want it to last. You want it to keep being able to use it, benefit from it, not have it just go and become garbage, go to the landfill. Which recently I did go to my local dump here, landfill here in the county I live in. And I made some observations that people were, the people that were, it was when we were there, well, everybody seemed like there was dumping stuff that was like really smelly. It smelled really bad. So there's, and things that you can't recycle either. It wasn't like you could take it to a glass place, or you could take it to a metal place, or you could take it to a paper place or a plastic recycle place. This was all kinds of materials that you would not get anything for or recycle for. So it was going to the landfill. What was the other thing I was going to make observations about? So I know that it takes time and effort and money and investments to build a server farm, to have machines running and keeping them cool, and having them run, doing regular maintenance on them to keep the system functioning properly. And when someone does use the resource, they're taking that resource away from something that could be used for something else, maybe something more profitable, like having advertisements, or doing cryptocurrency mining, or doing something else in commerce, right? In banking, or in credit in the market. You're using it for stock on a stock exchange. So the server farm could be used for people buying and selling stocks, or they could be using that server farm for mining Bitcoin. Which is just to add as an added note, cryptocurrency mining does use a lot of energy. It uses a lot of energy because all of these server farms and all the processors that are processing the exchange from one cryptocurrency to another cryptocurrency, or bank, they're doing ACH transactions into cryptocurrency, then that takes energy to run that equipment. It takes investors investing in all of the engines that generate the cryptocurrency, right? It takes energy while it's on. It uses electricity, so it's costing money to run it. And I was told, this is the way it was explained to me. There was someone that I was listening to, a knowledgeable person about networking and the ins and outs of running a network. They had stated emphatically that a Visa transaction or a MasterCard transaction or an ACH transaction is more energy efficient than cryptocurrency transactions. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Leave a comment and say you're wrong. They've made a cryptocurrency that uses like 1/10 of the amount of electricity in a Visa transaction, and it's faster. So it's faster than a Visa transaction, and it uses 1/10 of the electricity, and it's way cheaper, higher. It's very, very low maintenance costs to run these server farms that will manage the banking and all the commerce and the transactions. So, and if they can argue that point, and they can say it's much more secure too, it's more private, it's more secure, and it's a more of a valuable cryptocurrency. So if it's more of a valuable cryptocurrency, then because it's cheaper than a dollar, the issue I have with the cryptocurrencies is it seems like it's something for people that travel a lot. If you're like going from one country to another country, and you're doing that a lot, you're moving or you're selling something like on the market, you want to sell from one country to another country, and you want to transact that business privately without anyone else knowing about it, except a few people, then they can use that also as if their currency, if they keep printing and printing and printing and printing and issuing more and more of their currency of that country, and the citizens of that country will see alternatives of storing their money. They can I'll put my money over here because it's not inflating as fast as my national currency is. But they would be so regulated, and so there would be so much oversight. There would be so much like looking over the shoulder of them by the country they're in. Like whatever country the cryptocurrency is being traded in, that country, the banking system will be like keeping their eye really closely on those transactions. They won't just let willy-nilly people do transactions on the internet with cryptocurrency and not know about it. To me, it seems like a no-brainer. These people, they obviously have established laws and rules and conventions that are being followed as far as money and banking, and that adhering to those conventions, that anybody that deviates from those and uses a different form of currency for buying and selling on the market, in the marketplace, and then there's no oversight, there's no any kind of, they're doing that are they doing that not paying taxes, or are they cheating the system because the existing system that's set up in place, that is the most efficient as far as using energy and resources, and secure. So it has security, it has efficiency, and it has the Pope's blessing, and it's everything, and no one can just make up something else on the side and start doing that on the side without like there's someone in authority coming over and saying you can't do that. We're not going to allow you to do that. That's cheating. You're not paying your fair share if you're using that. You're not using the accepted conventional means of making transactions monetarily. Then they're going to be like suppressed. They're going to be watched. They're going to be like monitored. The government will have to keep their eye on them and track everything and make sure people pay taxes and that. So. But the whole thing for me was, Bitcoin was going to be like tax-free, right? It was going to be like you could do it and you could have private exchanges of money, buying and selling, and then you wouldn't have to pay taxes. But what bothers me is that it's not that I'm being taxed. That's not what bothers me. What bothers me is how that money that I've earned, that I've spent my lifetime slaving away to accumulate, where that money's going and how it's being used. So if I knew my money was being used, they were going to build a new YMCA, they were going to add on to the homeless shelter, they were going to put in public showers, public toilets, they were going to put in public drinking faucets, they were going to have more better facilities for the use of like laboratories and that, and hygiene and health and safety in the public sphere. If I knew my tax money was being paid towards making the roads better, making sure the sewers were working properly and the water was flowing clean, and that there was the roads were being repaired, then there wouldn't be any complaints from me. I wouldn't have issues. Oh, I had to pay those taxes. They're ripping me off. They're taking my money, blah, blah, blah. Then I wouldn't have that attitude. But if I've seen like tens of thousands of dollars of jet fuel being burned in the sky constantly. I look up at the sky and I see tens of thousands of dollars of jet fuel just burning in the air from big engines, engines moving back and forth up in the sky, burning like hundreds of thousands of gallons of jet fuel constantly. It doesn't give me a warm and fuzzy feeling about how my tax dollars are being used, because I think all the carbon footprint of all that jet fuel being burned in the air, what's the carbon footprint of that? When you have a big jet that's flying around in the sky all the time and it's burning fuel, that's causing a lot of CO2 gases to be emitted into the atmosphere. That's adding to the problem of our changing climate. The problem being our ability to adapt to what's happening to our weather systems. So if we're not adapting quickly enough to how the weather's changing, especially in agriculture, and also that as the sea levels rise, they're going to have to redo the ports, the seaports. They'll have to go in and redo all the seaports, because the ship where they dock ships is going to be higher. The sea level is going to rise, so they'll have to change that. They'll have to do like all these building codes and building regulations in Florida will have to change. So they won't allow people to build next to the coastline. They'll have to all build their hotels and apartment buildings and all that more inland, and leave more of a buffer zone of like marshland and grasses and that, and mangrove swamps area between them and the ocean. So I'm just saying the storms are going to get worse, right? There's going to be more hurricanes. There's going to be more flooding. There's going to be more droughts. There's going to be more like weather that's not normal. It's not raining enough, or it's raining too much, or it's too hot, or it's too windy. How are human beings going to adapt to that? Are we going to just let laissez-faire capitalism, let the invisible hand take control, and let the weather just completely crash, let our climate completely go haywire, go berserk, because we want to allow big business and industry to continue on as business as usual? We don't want to interfere with what we're doing. If it's like burning jet fuel constantly, and they want to constantly just burn up all this gas for planes in the air all the time, and that's allowed, that's okay to do. The Pope gives a blessing to that and allows that to happen. Doesn't put any kind of like restrictions on air travel. If you have to travel by air, or what is it? Is it really necessary for you to do that? Or are you just doing it for leisure and entertainment and amusement? So the people that are constantly flying around because they want to be entertained and amused by moving from one place geographically to another place, if they constantly do that, or flying around all the time and burning up jet fuel, if you're constantly burning up all this jet fuel for like training exercises because you have these huge planes that are like big cargo transport planes, and you have to fly them all the time, just regularly, to keep the machinery so it's running, equipment's running properly in case you really need it. Someday you might really need it, and it has to work properly. So you're constantly running it in its check mode phases. So you're checking the engines, checking the ailerons, checking all the hydraulic systems, making sure all electrical things are working properly on it, oiling it, all these machines, right? So you want to keep them updated, and so you're having to constantly fly them around. So you're spending your tax money. So you're working every day of your life at your job, and you're using your time and your energy and your resources to support like all this fuel being burnt up in the sky, being burned in the air. So that could be distressing. It could be distressing that you're forced to live in a place where you're having to rely on having to use transportation a lot. So you have to live far. So you're in a situation where you're cornered into, where you've boxed yourself into a situation where you live really, really far away from where you have to work. So you get in your car really early in the morning, and you drive for like 2 hours, and then you get to an office building, and you go in there and you work for 8 hours, and then you get back in your car and you drive for another 2 hours to get where your home is. So you spend 4 hours of your life every day driving just to get to your 8 hour a day job so you can work there. So you're working 12 hours a day. So your drive time is your work time. So you're just working 12 hours a day, and you're burning out because you're in your car all the time. And you got a really shitty, cheap car it's noisy, it's small, it's like it doesn't have real modern things in it. It's a real basic car just to get you from point A to point B. And you're having to go to a job every day, and then you get to a place, a building, you go inside of the building, and there's all these people there, and they weren't people that you chose as friends. They were people that you were having to have to work with every day. They weren't necessarily people that acquaintances that you met, that you chose to hang out with them because they were like, they were college professors, or they were really well-educated people, and you could like be really selective about. You had a large group of people that you could select your friends from, and you chose your friends by selecting them out of a big group of people. You didn't have that choice in your life. You just went to a place where you had to work all day, and you had to work with all these different people that they weren't your family. They were strangers to you, and they had different values, different religions. They came from different parts of the world. Their ideas and their philosophy and religion was different from yours. And you didn't fit in there. You didn't fit the corporate culture, but you just put up with a job because you had to make a living. So you force yourself to get up every morning, to force yourself to go to a building where you had to force yourself to be around a lot of people that you didn't necessarily want to be around. You had to be there so you could get a paycheck. And that really sucks. It really sucks that you get stuck in a profession or a kind of work, and you hate what you do. You go to work and you dread being there. You hate being there. You don't like any of the people there. It's not a friendly place to work. Or it may be real noisy, or the air is really dirty, or you're having to put up with someone that's a really annoying person. You're having to be there every day with them and work with them and get along with them. And like maybe like in their heart, they hate you because of your race, because you were like born from a certain family line that came from a certain geography and a certain part of the world. And they just don't happen to like people that are like their heritage, or they came from that city or that town or that country or that region, or their skin color. They don't like you because of your skin color. They feel like they have an attitude of resentment because like they think your great great grandfather was a slave owner, so they look at you like your great great grandfather owned slaves, and they resent you or they're angry towards you because they think you're like the great grandson of a slave owner. Or is like or like they approach you and they immediately seem to think like they resent you because maybe you did something to them, because you look like someone that they knew that wronged them, so they have a resentment towards or directed towards you because you remind them of someone else that looked like you that did something to them. So or it just might be the kind of car you drive. They hate you because of the kind of car that you drive. You drive a really fuel efficient, small, like 3-cylinder, old model car. You drive that around and they like look at you with like, you're not paying your fair share of taxes on the roads. You're not buying enough gas to pay the fuel tax that supports the highways. So you're kind of cheating. You're not paying enough fuel tax on your gas by driving a really fuel efficient car. And of course, on the tabs for registration, you're like not paying like hardly anything to get the car registered every year. Well, while they're driving around in their $70,000 truck that gets 8 miles to the gallon, that costs $300 a month to insure because they have all the comp and collision and all that on it, and then they're paying like $750 a month for their truck payment, and they're paying like 16% interest on a 5-year truck loan, and they're paying like $1,000 a year to register the vehicle every single year in where they're living. And they look at you driving around this little tiny beat up little old 3-cylinder gas sipping car, and they get mad at you. They don't like that. Or like maybe you're somebody that could be a potential threat by your ideas. If you propagate your ideas, if you spread ideas in the idea sphere, and someone's business suffers, they lose revenue. Their customer base or their sales numbers decrease because of the ideas you're presenting in the idea sphere. So what will happen in the future is some guy's working some job and he gets his wages cut back, or he gets laid off, or the business closes its doors because somebody said something out in the idea sphere and put an idea out into the idea sphere, and in a certain amount of time after that idea was propagated and released into the noosphere, their business suffered. So like let's say you work on an oil derrick and you're the driller guy that runs the drill bit, operates the drill bit machine. And you're the truck driver that drives all the equipment out to the port that goes on to that they put out to sea, that goes to the oil rig. So all the structures and all the members and all the metal and all the equipment that needs to go in to maintain an oil rig, your job suffers and you get laid off because people aren't buying gasoline like they used to. So there's no need for all these oil drilling rigs to drill for oil, because people aren't using as much fuel as they used to, gasoline fuels. So you could be seen as like against capitalism, or you can be seen as somebody that's like that wants industrial civilization to fail. But to you, because you're a worker, because you're having to make a house payment, and you're making your payment on your new truck, and you're making all that insurance payment on your new truck, and you're paying for fuel for your new truck, and you're paying mortgage on your big 4,000 square foot 5-bathroom 2-acre ranch style house, and you lose your job and you can't make your house payment, and you lose your truck because you can't make your truck payment because you've lost your job working on the oil rig as a drill operator, because people aren't buying as much gasoline as they used to. So the business of oil drilling and all that, it's going away. And everybody's like buying. So what happens is, like, somebody starts promoting electric vehicles. They start talking about making a car that only fits one person, the driver. So having all of the metal, all the steel, all the glass, all the rubber, all the plastic, all the wiring, all the safety equipment, all of the design of the car is built just to have one driver drive a car around. So you're designing a car just for one driver, and it only seats that driver. It may have a cargo area, but it won't even seat one passenger. And somebody likes that idea, and they go, "Hey, why are we driving around? All these cars are on the road, and there's only one person in each car." Just about 9 out of 10 cars, there's only one person in that car. When the car is designed to hold like 5 people, it's got 5 seat belts, and there's all these cars that are driving around that are designed to hold 5 people, and there's only one person in the car, and they're just trying to get to their job, to get home, to get to their job again, to get home again, maybe to the grocery store. Now, if somebody's taking a lot of their hard-earned money and they're investing it in a company that makes cars that only hold one person, or they're investing their money in all of a big portion of their portfolio is in the lithium ion in the battery technology world. So they're investing their money in research and development in different battery technologies, different battery companies, high-tech companies. Might be fuel cells, might be fuel exchange. It might be, that area. Or like, if you could choose to have something, if you could choose to, you're going to make money and good things are going to happen, but good things are going to happen for you and everybody else too. So if you can figure out a way to make money where it benefits you, it benefits everybody else, and it does good things in the world, it causes good effects into the future. It has more positive effects into the future. So if you can invest your money, find ways of investing your money that will do that, cause beneficial occurrences that will benefit more than their risks. So they will have more reward than risk. And the risk, if there is a risk, it's, I failed, but in the process of the failure, what happened actually? Okay, you took your resources and you invested in this idea, in this company that was involved with that idea, and they failed. They didn't make a profit. But what happened really, if you think about it? There was a business that hired a whole bunch of other people, employees, and they were involved in new things, in a new project, and they got while they were working in that business, even though it failed, to learn about what they were trying to accomplish. And maybe you as an investor lost. Maybe the people had a job there for a while, and then they had to get laid off and go do something else for a living. But I'm just saying, in that one period of time when that company existed, when you were trying to achieve that end goal of that product, that set the groundwork that paved the way for other people to get learning in that trade, in that skill. They would learn about it, and then in the next iteration, when it came time for another company to try that business again, there was already people out in the world that were trained, that had experience in that area of that other. They worked for that other company that failed, that you bought stock in. So you're not you're not sad. You're like, oh my God, I've lost my investment. I'm losing money. Oh, the value of my shares are going down, 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 down. But if you think about what that's doing, what kind of companies are you investing your money into? What kind of businesses do you buy stock in? What are those businesses doing? Are those businesses that you're buying stock in, are they really doing something productive of value, that's efficient, that's having a beneficial effect in the future? Or is it just those companies, it's just you're just gambling? Is it just like gambling? You don't care what they do, you don't care where that's going. It might be dog racing, or it might be like a tobacco company, or it might be like a drug company where they're testing their drugs on like animals, or it might be like a company that makes like something that hurts people. You know, it might be that you don't want to invest your money in that. It might be that there's other businesses that you've had to deal with in your life, and you've been cheated by them, or you've been ripped off by those companies or those businesses or those stores or whomever cheated you out of your hard-earned money in your life, and you're investing your money in those companies. You're supporting whoever harmed you in the past. You're using your money, you're supporting them. So you're getting hurt, you're getting fucked in the ass twice by the same. So if you're not careful about where you're investing your money, and you're just handing your money over to somebody else, a fund manager, here's my money, do whatever you want to do with my money. I don't care. Just give me a return on it. I'm the driver of the car. I don't care how the fuel pump works. I don't care what the spark plugs are doing. I don't care what the timing. I don't care about how the ins and outs of the car is working. All I want to do is drive the car. All you got to do is make that car but you're not that mentality, but you're thinking that way as an investor. It's wrong to be that way. For me, ethically, I'm an ethical person. I believe that I want to be able to sleep good at night. I want to be able to lay my head on the pillow at night and know that even if my life ended, I at least tried. I at least made the attempt to. I at least took the first step forward in that direction. Of where I wanted to go as a person, what I valued in my life, and how I wanted to use my hard-earned time at jobs I hated, at places I didn't want to be, and doing something I didn't really want to do every day. And I had to do that to earn a living, and I took part of that and I set that aside for investing in things that may or may not have a future. There may be some risk. I may lose money. But in the process of while I was losing that money, what was really happening in the world? How was that money being used, and what was the end result of that? The business failed, but all the employees that worked there got training in that area. So if I really, really believe in that idea of what that business was doing, of what they were trying to accomplish, and that business fails, and I lose value in the stock, then at least that idea will become more prolific into the future, because it's gone through one iteration. It's been tested out and tried out in the marketplace. It's failed. But in the next time around, when it goes around again and there's a new business or a new company that tries that same idea, they will potentially, in logic, you would think they could be more successful because they've already been through a trial period. At least some of the people that worked there did. So you believe it's a good idea. It might be a big greenhouse in an area of a country, and they're trying to grow tomatoes. And it's like they're trying different ways of growing tomatoes with hydroponics, and they use a vertical farming method with rotisseries on vertical platforms. And they're trying to grow different vegetables indoors in a greenhouse. And it fails. Like, you invest $100 and your $100 is now worth $50. You're seeing the price go down, go down, go down, go down. But you realize that, well, what is that business trying to accomplish? What is their end goal in doing that? And then once they have, even if they buy all of the equipment and build it and it fails, then there's been jobs created. All that equipment is still there. All those greenhouses are still there. There's still a whole bunch of greenhouses that are useful greenhouses that can be used for growing something else that's profitable, that maybe they were growing the wrong thing, but they still have all the equipment there. They still have all the employees. They still have the building that's a greenhouse. So I don't worry. I don't lose sleep at night. Yes, the stock has gone down. It's gone down. It's gone down. It's gone down. The solar power company, all the solar power companies, it makes solar panels, it makes solar panel racking, that make the solar photovoltaic chips, that make the electronics that control the electrical flow of power from the solar panel system, the tracking systems, all the different systems that go into making a successful, innovative, efficient, energy efficient solar power generation facility. All the money and time and effort and planning and materials that go involved in making a good solar farm that works efficiently, that can outprice coal, gas, or any other fuel that they use to generate electricity. If they can make that solar farm kilowatt hours cheaper than any other form of electricity generation, then that's been a successful endeavor. And then the company will grow, their revenue will grow, their earnings will grow. They will release dividends, and they'll have they'll benefit society. They'll benefit the population at large, the general public. Well, the general public will have more available electricity for use. So the cost of manufacturing will go down, because there'll be more. They'll be able to use more electricity in the factories without having to pay as much to produce product. But so maybe I should talk a bit about my viewpoint about the philosophy of antinatalism, which is a philosophy. I was reading a forum today, and it was interesting. I was reading the part about the self-autonomy, right? Okay, being sovereign over your own body, over your own life, without the Pope telling you what to do with your life. That's important. That each individual person has their own right. That they are their own body. They acknowledge that they didn't create themselves, right? They didn't form themselves in their womb and all that. But they don't believe that they don't believe in a God to tell them personally what they should or shouldn't do with their own life's choices. So when it comes down to your very personal life story and how your life ends, how your life ends for you, that's your choice, and you have rights as an individual over your own body to make choices for yourself, and it's no one else's business. It's no one else's business how you exit the stage, right? How you leave this place. It's your business. There's no one to tell you when and how and all that. This is your life. You're here. It's private with you when you're going, and it's a private moment for you. Why is anyone else involved with that? Or why should anyone else be involved with that? And also someone trying to tell other people whether or not they should or why they shouldn't have children, trying to convince people through logic to not procreate. Why is that? It's like, I guess it's the same thing as, like, if you're not patriotic, right? Then people think you're against the country. They might put a label on you, call you a communist, and like try to suppress your work. And So but I'm not really I'm not really interested in politics that much. I think the idea of you didn't have a choice to come into existence, and that by procreating, people are using their bodies to force a new person into life, and that it should be that younger people should be like, they should get the right amount of education as far as sex education and learning about the reproductive system and the human reproductive system, and what the body's doing. And I don't know if that made me more of an antinatalist, because I was raised in a place where I was given a lot of education about sex and sex education at school at a young age. And that may have had an effect on me, as far as like, gee, you know what? Probably shouldn't reproduce. Probably shouldn't get a girl pregnant. Try not to get a girl pregnant. And like make my choices on that. Like it's almost like it's like it should be made like they have a Bible in every hotel room, in the drawer by the bed nightstand. There's a Bible in the drawer. Well, what they should do is they should have condoms. They should have every different size of condom that you could need in the hotel room drawers, so that in the event that people do want to have fun, they want to have a good time, want to enjoy themselves, then they're not having to be burdened by having to go out and get that and then come back to the hotel room. It's just already there for them conveniently. So that's a good policy to have, as far as if you're proprietor of a hotel and you provide that for your clientele in each room, then, and you could even have like a vending machine in the hallway with that in there too. If you wanted to be like more, discreet about it, have a vending machine in the hallway at your hotel and have all the different sizes and styles in there, and just have it so you get sort of take it like a credit card or whatever, and use that to, or like, okay, how's this when people are using a lot of electricity, right? When is that? Is that like early in the morning before they get up to go to work? Then they're making coffee, they're making toast, they're running their electric range, they're running their hot water shower, and turning on all the lights when they get up in the morning before they go to work. So that one part of the morning, that's when most of the electricity demand is happening. So it's not happening right at 1 o'clock or right after noon when the sun is in the full zenith of the sky and it's at its optimum position against where the solar electric is happening production. Which that's why I like the idea of the Tesla wall. I thought one of the best things about the solar power was that you could have it and store it for a length of time when it wasn't available, and use it. And then when the sun's out, it would reestablish a charge in an area where it could be reused again at a different time, at off-peak hours. Yeah, I missed out on that company when they went public. I thought it was like, see, what gets me is I'm skeptical of the news and the media, of the mainstream media. I'm very skeptical of it. So when the mainstream media has something and they're like really blah blah again and again and again, they're putting it out, they're repeating it. The same thing, the story or whatever the storyline's going on that's happening in the media, and they're just repeating it again and again and again on the alphabet networks, then I'm skeptical of those. I'm skeptical of that. I'm skeptical of companies that they're talking about too much. It's like they want everybody to jump in at the same time. What's that called? Zeitgeist. That's the word I was looking for. Idea sphere. It'd be the same as a zeitgeist. So if you don't believe in like in animals being tortured, if you don't want animals to be hurt, if you don't like bombs and missiles and like really like weapons of any kind, if you don't like that kind of thing, if you don't like the idea that you're if you don't like it that something's wasted, it's like something that's really valuable is consumed and then wasted. If you don't like that, if that doesn't set well with you, if you can't sleep well at night knowing that you're helping something happen in the world that is like really raping the world, that's consuming a lot, and it's not providing any value, very little value back, but it's consuming a lot, using up a lot of resources. And you're using your money that you have saved in your savings over time that you've worked for, and you're putting it towards that type of activity that's happening in the world. You're supporting that. Or it might be a business or an organization that treats their employees really bad. I mean, their employees, that company, their employees are like slaves, and you're investing in that company. So I don't know what else to say. I don't know what else that, like, if you like a product, right, and you really like that product that you buy, and you like find out they're a publicly traded company that makes that product, and then you go and you buy stock in that company, wouldn't that be better to do that? Or it might be that where you're working at, you like the company you work at, you like the business. They provide something that's really good for people, that benefits people, that in their business they run it really well, where they're environmentally conscious, and they treat their employees really well, really good, and they're like they're good for the community, that wherever the businesses are, they're good for the communities where those businesses are. So you buy stock in that company. That, you see, that's maybe I'm a fool, you know. Maybe somebody would say, "Oh, you're not looking at the fundamentals. You're not. It's not about that. It's just a big game, and it doesn't matter. It's a big game board, and there's the colored pieces and the different shapes of the playing pieces, and the all of that doesn't matter. It's just about getting as much money as you possibly can in the quickest amount of time that you can." You're listening to the wrong person. You're on the wrong channel. You really should go somewhere else, because I might you might end up, if you listen to me, you might end up losing money. So really, there should be a disclaimer. I'm not a broker. I don't have a broker's license. I don't have a degree on the wall of someone that you should or should not make decisions based upon what that person says, because I have a piece of paper on the wall that says I have special certification or training, or I have credentials. My credentials, they're not there. I don't have the credentials. If you're trying to make me, if you're listening to me and making decisions based on things I say, I wouldn't want that, to do that to anybody. I wouldn't want to hold myself. You have to go out and you have to find out for yourself what you want to do for you. You have to discover for yourself. You have to educate yourself. You have to learn to take the time to do studies and look into, and not just listen to some guy on the internet talking on YouTube. I'm telling you, I'm just telling you what I do personally, what I'm interested in. Number one, it's animal cruelty. Number one, that's really like on the top of my very first thing I look at in any business. Is there any kind of animal cruelty in the business happening? Number one, if you get and then I realize, well, I realize what kind of business is it? Is it a business that's like, well, I used to work there. It was a company I worked at. And when I was working at that company, they gave me a regular paycheck, which I was very grateful for at the time. I was very much in need of funds. They gave me some recognition while I worked there. They gave me opportunities to do different things. So I was given a lot of different things to do that I could learn to do, and they tested my capabilities there. And the people that I worked with were like real friendly people. They were nice people that it was pleasant to work there because there were nice people to work with. And then I no longer work at the company, but I saved the money away, and I'm going to buy stock. I'll buy stock in that company. But do your own research, find out, do due diligence, look at all of the financials year to year, quarter to quarter, understand the company, how much debt the company has, try to see if they're priced fairly. Look at their balance sheet, see if they're priced fairly, or are they too overpriced? And there's so I went to the store, right? Went to the grocery store. And I'd say I have probably between 50 to 60% of my portfolio, just like go into a grocery store and look around. A good part of my investment portfolio is in a lot of those names and those companies that are in that grocery store. So a big portion of my portfolio is in that. The other thing I've been noticing is the marijuana companies, right? Cannabis companies. I'm going to state this again. If you're under the age of 18, you shouldn't probably be watching this channel. If you are watching this channel and you are under the age of 18, go get your parents, your mom or your dad, and have them watch one or two of my videos. Have them look over this channel and give you permission. Say, oh, this guy, he's okay to watch him. He's not going to corrupt the youth. That's not his thing. So then you'll have permission. But generally, this channel is for people over the age of 18. And if you live in a cannabis legal state, such as where I live in Washington State, and you're over the age of 21, that I'm just going to say that just for the record now, that what I'm going to say from in this part of the video pertains to that. Well, there's companies that grow cannabis that you can invest in. Most of them are Canadian companies. And a lot of them are companies that are peripheral companies to the cannabis growing industry. Now, what I mean by peripheral companies is that, well, I've heard the example given of the California gold rush. It was the Rudolph Randolph Hearst who put all these articles in the paper to promote people to come to California by putting rumors on the press that there was gold in the streets, there was gold in the creeks, there was gold. It was real easy to find gold. People were coming to California and making millions overnight, finding all this gold. And it was real easy. And so people got on trains and boats and ships, and they flooded into California because they thought there was all this cheap gold here. And then the ones that were, and the people that had businesses, like they sold shovels and they sold flour and Levi's and picks and mining equipment and that. They were the ones that really made all the money. It wasn't the gold. It was in the very, very, very beginning. There was probably a few guys that were gold panning, and they found big nuggets of gold. But then that was all gone after that, really, like within like a month, or something. And then all the other people that came, there was no real gold that was easy to find that was just laying there. So they had to like get these big hoses and spray down the sides of hills, wash all the soil away to find the gold, the placer gold. So they ruined all this land, right? They spraying water on it. And they had all this framing, right? Timbers that they were used for framing and the railroad and building the cities and all that. So they cut down all the forests, most of them, all the old forests. Because, of course, one big, huge old tree is a lot cheaper. You can cut one huge old tree down and it will make enough lumber for like, a small town, one tree. So that was easy. Once they got that one tree down and went to the mill, they could just cut it up. And so those money trees that were the first trees that were cut down, those were all gone. So it's a story. It's repeated again and again. If you know anything about the history of the American West. So what I'm trying to get at is that it's the companies that are supplying something to do with growing cannabis that sold. Those companies are the peripheral companies that will do that. I'm investing in that sort of area of the cannabis sector. I'm not really directly investing in the cannabis growers per se. I'm investing in cannabis companies that are supplying growing media, or that cannabis companies that are supplying lighting and hydroponic systems, pumps, thermostat controls, lighting controls, fans, greenhouses. The way I see it is that, okay, the cannabis, yeah, it's there's only so many people that are going to buy cannabis, right? Let's face it. There's a real limited number of people that are like, that don't have to drive, that don't have to go to a job and take a urine test randomly, that don't have to operate heavy equipment, that don't have to do dangerous work or work that involves like decisions that make or break, like, a really critical decision to be made. That's safety is involved effectively, that you don't want cannabis being used. So there's a limited number of customer base of that people will buy and use cannabis. There's only so many people. So you can use all that equipment. You can use the greenhouses, you can use the grow lights, you can use the fans, you can use the timers, you can use the water pumps, you can use the plant media for growing the plants. You can reuse all of that you can reuse all that infrastructure you put in place to grow cannabis for growing tomatoes and cucumbers and lettuce and broccoli or other carrots or other things like that. You can transfer all that's set up for cannabis. It can be transferred into growing food. Where was I going with this? So an investor like that's investing in that, they see, let's just say cannabis, that's as much as the market is saturated, right? The whole market is saturated already. They can't sell any more of it. So they got all these greenhouses, they got all this equipment used for growing cannabis. But people still got to eat, right? You go and you buy salads, right? You buy lettuce, you buy spinach, you buy carrots, broccoli, you buy peas, you buy other fruits like tomatoes, and that you go to the store and you buy that, right? So that can be used for growing those sort of things in a market that's changed. If the demand for the cannabis, smoking cannabis or eating cannabis or whatever, rubbing it on your body for whatever reason, that goes away, or there's so much customers that are already buying it, it's reached its maximum number of people that buy that. So the business isn't growing as much anymore. So that they have all that in place. Now they can use that to grow food with. I don't know. The other thing I was going to look at was risk, right? If you own a company, they're a water treatment company, then the risk is that there's water that's being not treated properly and someone gets sick, or they have to shut the system off and flush it, and the customers are unhappy, then you're going to lose money too in that, because then the next, they won't grow as a business. There'll be other opportunities to build a new system somewhere else, water treatment system, and they won't get the contract because they have a bad history of failure, and the customers were unhappy that their system failed. So if it's water delivery, right, you have like all these wells, right, and you have to build a tower with a big tank to hold the water when it's being used. Gravity can go and distribute the water to the households. So you invested a lot of money in that equipment, pumping the water up to the tower and filtering the water before it gets pumped up to the tower. If something goes wrong, then or maybe let's just say that one part of the country, there's people moving away, so there's not the same amount of customers there used to be on the system. You're still having to pay. It still costs the same to maintain the system. Might be more because of inflation. So you're not making any more money. So even something that you would think, oh, water, right? Why not invest in just water companies? They seem pretty safe. It seems like people need water, right? But that's what I'm saying. There's always a risk involved in that too. But for me, it's like, that's a good thing to have. It's really good that fresh water comes to your house and you can turn on your tap and that clean water comes out of your tap. To me, that is really important to have. So as an investor, I think, well, even if I lose money in my investment, at least that water, that I'm a part of that system in place that's delivering clean drinking water to people's homes for bathing and washing clothes and cooking. Now, I would prefer that their electricity is all like renewable energy. I mean, I would prefer that the renewable energy companies are being run well, that they're maintaining their equipment and they're using it's all efficient, that it's not inefficient, that everything's working properly, and that all of my money that I spent to set up a solar electric farm, that's being used and it's generating electricity for people, and it's being useful for them. It's heating their homes, it's running their washing machines, it's cooking their food, that power that's being delivered to their house. So even if the value of the stock is going down, but that's still happening, that company's still making electricity for people. They're able to cook in their homes, they're able to run their washing machines, they're able to heat water. That's still being useful. It's not like, oh no, it's gone down in value, but it's still, for me, that company, it's valuable. What they're doing is valuable. They're providing electricity, or they're providing drinking water, potable water. So I don't worry. I don't lose sleep at night over that. If my investment goes down in value, if it's not giving me the same return it was, but it's still, like, to me, it's still valuable. And that over time, as I grow old and my time here on this earth is lesser and lesser and lesser, and I'm getting to the end of my life, I can reflect back upon my life and look upon what I have accomplished as a person, as an investor. And that was my goal, was those type of investments.